teach at Housatonic Community College, Chelsea works full-time and goes to school full-time, and she couldn't afford to take the time off to be here with us today, even for a short amount of time. Chelsea is 25, and except for the fact that she lives with her parents and doesn't pay rent, she is 100% self-supporting, paying all of her own bills, paying for college, and even paying for her own groceries. She started working when she was 16, and because she wasn't sure what she wanted to do when she graduated from high school, she kept on working. She got a full-time job doing inventory control for a grocery store, but then had this aha moment when she realized that she wanted so much more. She realized that what she wanted was a job that would pay her enough where she could rent her own apartment, and for that job to blend the two things she loved most, which were music and writing. She began dreaming about being a writer for Rolling Stone or MTV. They're big dreams for sure, but if Chelsea was here today, you know within minutes of meeting her that she is the type of student that with the right education, guidance, and mentorship, she's someone who absolutely has the ability and the drive to succeed at whatever she puts her mind to. There's a myth that students go to community colleges because they aren't smart enough to get into, quote, real schools, or that they're lazy. As someone who teaches at Yale in addition to the community colleges, I can tell you that this is 100% not true. Chelsea Vogel is an exceptional student, but she's not an atypical one. So many of the students who rely on Connecticut's community college system for high quality, affordable, accessible education have the ability and drive to succeed at almost any school, but they face so many barriers. Many, like Chelsea, are funding their own educations. Others are the first members of their family ever to go to college. Still more are students from underrepresented populations who, until they sit down with one of the community college guidance counselors, don't even have an idea of what kind of possibilities or opportunities are available for them. Opportunity is what Connecticut's community colleges are all about. However, because of the budget cuts that have taken place over the past few years, our students are already experiencing higher tuition rates, fewer class choices, and a noticeable decrease in academic support. On top of this, there are federal cuts that will lead to Connecticut students getting less financial aid next year. Add this to the additional $90 million in higher education cuts included in this current budget, and many of our 85,000 students will no longer be able to afford to attend college, even our community college. Even worse, definitely worse to me, is that many of those students who do manage to scrape together the money to attend won't be able to be successful. Included in this budget is not just the elimination of $22 million in need-based grants, but the complete elimination of developmental education funding that provides tutoring and other support services for students who desperately need help learning basic math and English skills. In addition to being a professor, I tutor many of these students. These are students who graduated from our public high schools, who want to succeed in college, who want to get good paying jobs, but come to us telling us they got through high school without ever learning how to effectively write a sentence, and they need our help. services our community colleges and state colleges provide, these students will not have a chance of being successful. I'm worried for our students, I'm worried for our state, and frankly, I am just stunned by the types of cuts that have been made to this budget because they don't make sense. Over 95% of our state college students are Connecticut residents, and they stay here after they graduate, providing Connecticut employers with the skilled type of workmanship that is in demand here. As Connecticut College's president, Mark Ojekian, said, how can we as a state convince employers to stay and grow here if we cannot produce the workforce they will need in the future? Case in point is manufacturing. I was at Housatonic last year when Governor Malloy and Nancy Wyman came there to sign a bill that would keep Sikorsky in Connecticut until 2032. State officials were also there that day to celebrate the community college's advanced manufacturing program, which gives students the skills they need to be hired for good paying jobs at companies like Sikorsky. I often walk down that advanced manufacturing hall and I talk to those students who are excited, students of all ages, not just those who have recently gotten out of high school, but those who have gotten laid off from their jobs and don't know how they're going to support their families. They are excited about the opportunities that our advanced manufacturing programs provide and the opportunities that can come for them because of it. Connecticut manufacturing companies employ 160,000 workers here in Connecticut, and the industry is growing so much that they expect to hire 14,000 more trained workers in the next 2 years. Yet the budget cuts in this budget slash the expansion and establishment of advanced manufacturing programs in more community colleges. The line item slashes this budget from $18 million to $980,000. This is an unfathomable cut to a proven program that's had a wildly positive impact on the lives of Connecticut residents and the economic development of our state. Because I'm president of the Connecticut chapter of the National Organization for Women, I'm also concerned how these cuts will limit the ability of Connecticut women, particularly women of color, to gain the skills they need to compete for well-paying jobs in the manufacturing field and fill the gap our state has for well-trained manufacturing workers. And women are already so underrepresented in this field. I'm also extremely concerned about how the cuts to higher education will limit better jobs, better pay, and better educational opportunities for all Connecticut women and girls. Every year since 2010, women have made up 60% of those who attend our community colleges. Some are young women fresh out of school. Some are mothers and grandmothers, women on limited income, many of them women of color, women who in their 40s or 50s or 60s have decided that it's not too late, or they want to be role models for their children, or now that their own children have grown, it's their time to get the college educations and better paying jobs they never thought they could have. Connecticut state and community colleges rely on two primary sources of funding: state support and student tuition. That's it. If state support is cut, our students are going to have to pay funds that they cannot afford. Our legislators must come back together to draft a new bipartisan budget that puts money back for state education, for student aid, for program development, and for desperately need. Without these funds, our students will not succeed, and neither will Connecticut.